kill the brain and you kill the ghoul.
Welcome, boils and ghouls, to the Cold Dead Heart Horror Show. Today we've got me, Gigi, Jasper, Ken of the Dead, and very briefly the ghost of Lena, who will meet with us at the round table and then fade back into the ether. All right, Jasper, what news do you have for us this week?
Oh, I have so much. I'm going to start off with 1313. James Wan's producing horror reboot of The Munsters. Yeah, I know. In the week of Rob Zombie's direct-to-movie, video-to-movie, The Munsters, back in 2022, Universal has announced 1313, a brand new small-screen reboot of that iconic television series. And for those that you don't know, 1313 is a nod to the Munsters family home address, which was 1313 Mockingbird Lane. So this is James Wan's company, Atomic Monster, which are going to be taking this on. I'm kind of excited for this. I do like him as a director, so fingers crossed that he does them justice. So I'm definitely...
It does seem weird, like, so soon after Rob Zombies, right? Like, there's still collectibles and stuff hitting the market for Zombies, the Munsters. But I do like the fact that they're kind of taking a darker tone to it, which could be pretty cool, right?
Absolutely. A little nod to Nightmare on Elm Street just for the movie fans. You better get it watched because it's leaving Netflix in June. So I think I'm going to tune in tonight and watch all of them.
I'm in Canada, so our Netflix has never had any of them. So
no Nightmare on Elm Street for you, Ken.
I've got them all on DVD and Blu-ray and soon 4K.
I don't know if you've been keeping up with Beetlejuice. Like, I know people are really hyped about the new Beetlejuice.
For sure.
I cannot wait. There is promises of a new trailer this week, so please keep an eye out, and I'm sure the Cold Dead Heart server are going to be absolutely dissecting every second of it, so I'm excited for when that drops. We also have the original Nightmare on Elm Street is making a 4K debut later this year, so open your wallets because it's coming.
I'll be adding that to my collection.
Yes.
Pro 4K just came out too. So for any collectors there, the 4K releases are getting hot.
Well, it's getting a 4K Ultra HD Steelbook, which you can pre-order now from Amazon. So get your wallet out, Ken. There's also been an announcement. Now, there was rumours a couple of weeks ago, but now, it's confirmed. We are getting a new I Know What You Did Last Summer movie. I don't know how y'all feel about that. I love I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's just classic cheese. Classic cheese. Especially with Freddie Prinze, and Michelle Gellar, and I can't remember who else was in it, but Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Love Hewitt.
Yes. So I mean, I love the concept of it, and I think they could really have a lot of fun with this without taking it too seriously. Like kind of like a nice Saturday watch. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that.
I could see a lot of chatter on both sides of this, right? Like of the fan base, because you're gonna have people that are super excited, right? Like big fans of it, and then you're gonna have other people, equal fans, but like super pissed off, right?
Well,
that they're gonna be rebooting it. Like for me, I'm like rating that pocket of I don't care. It's never been like a huge movie for me. I remember it being a big deal when it came out, and I definitely have seen it maybe a dozen times, right? But I'm like, I don't care.
Well, when we were going through the articles before we started recording, Ghost of Lena went and left. So I don't think she's excited for it either.
Exactly.
I think I'm just on the boat on my own with this one, but yeah. Next up, we all love it by A24. Their movies are fantastic. They feed us such great horror, but they are picking up a dark reimagining of The Death of Robinhood.
Right. I just read that article today, actually.
Yeah. It was recently announced that Michael Sarnowski, who I think he's directing The Death of Robinhood, said to be a darker reimagining of the classic story starring Hugh Jackman and Jodie Comer. I'm excited for it. Mm-hmm. Yes, and it's going to be nice. Like the last time I think we saw Hugh Jackman in a darker role, like playing in a dark role, was Logan. So it'd be nice to see him join in on like the horror genre, and I'd like.
It's going to be interesting to see how they do if they take it like more serious than a lot of these dark reimaginings.
Yes,
that kind of have like a spoofy feel to them. But it kind of sounds like they're going in a more serious direction with this, so it could be cool.
I mean, I think I'll definitely kneel down to my A24 altar and pray, but I have hope. I have hope that they'll do justice.
I think what they did with the Green Knight alone, it makes me very optimistic about what they could do with Robinhood.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm very excited for that.
A different kind of Green Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Also, Lin Shaye, who I love, she plays in a lot of horror movies, and she was known more for Insidious, the medium. I can't remember the character. She's starring in a new horror with Barbara Crampton as well, called The Possession of Gladstone Manor. The cast for this,
the lineup is actually crazy. There's a handful of super recognizable horror icons in this.
We have Kaylee Cohen from Hypnotic, Jesse Metcalfe from John Tucker Must Die, Charlotte Kirk from The Reckoning, Darren Wise from Inside Man, Barbara Crampton from Your Next, William Mapper from Black Cat, and Lin Shaye. Oh my god! The synopsis for this is: when Jamie Black discovers her mother has gone missing, she resolves to investigate by applying for the same job her mother held at Gladstone Manor. Jamie soon finds evidence that her mother isn't the only missing person, and that she may be dealing with sinister forces beyond this world. So I'm going to keep an eye on this, mostly because of the cast. I feel like
me and Gigi were sold at Barbara Crampton, so
I love Barbara Crampton, but I have a soft heart for Lin Shaye. I think she's fantastic.
For sure. Yeah. No, it does sound cool. And there was so I read that same synopsis, but maybe an extended version. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like it's going to be almost like an action horror, where she gets trapped, when things start to go down, there's otherworldly presence, and then she's relying on a couple of her brothers and her soon-to-be stepsister that are trying to break in and save her, and it almost has this kind of ghostly heist kind of feel to it. Her brothers are all ex-Marines, turned crooks by the sounds of it, but so I'm not sure what pocket in my brain that this is supposed to sit, but it sounds really interesting. And I know the director had come out saying that he's really excited for this. They're pulling from horror influences from all different kinds of eras, and they really want their goal with this is to set up something that we all loved, a timeless horror movie, right? Something that comes out but people talk about 30 years from now. So if they could land that, if they could stick that landing, I think it's one to watch for sure.
Oh yeah, this is definitely on my watch list. Just a brief shout out to Long Legs, which I know we're all excited for, guys.
Sure.
They dropped a full trailer today, and one of the more notable things from the trailer is Nicolas Cage's creepy voice, which can be heard through it all. I feel like this man goes all out with his roles in movies.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like he's just going to be absolutely creepy insane in Long Legs. It comes out.
He's a producer on this film too, eh?
Oh, is he? I wasn't sure if he was. Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's interesting. I mean, I think to be honest, I love me Nicolas Cage. For years, I used to have a cardboard cutout, it's 6 foot cardboard cutout Nicolas Cage that sat in my kitchen.
That's
And
cool.
That's fantastic.
What I'd do, like with my roommate, is I'd move it around the house so they'd get a fright.
Oh my.
So I have a soft heart for him too. I'm very optimistic about this, and I think I'm going to keep you guys updated weekly if there's more to come out. But July 12th, like I'm going to the cinema on drop day, and yeah, I'll let you all know how that goes.
Right on. Yeah, I'm really excited for that one too.
Yes, everybody's hyped about it on the server.
For sure.
So.
And the interesting thing about the trailer that just dropped this week, it's the first full-length trailer. Like, we've gotten a bunch of tease images and teaser trailers, and like the marketing that they've done, that Neon has done, has been crazy cool, building up hype. And then this is the first time they kind of broke their own mold and went more like a traditional full-length trailer. I think it's like 2.5 minutes long or something. But it's really good. It does kind of give you an idea. I think a lot of people were like, well, I've seen 5 trailers and I have no idea what this is about. So this new trailer definitely lays it out for you, following like an FBI agent who's kind of feels like she's following clues, but also like the clues are getting in her head, and it almost seems like she's kind of breaking down a little bit on this case. Yeah, it looks really cool. So I'm going to be, I'm all over this. You know, Jasper, from the beginning, like as soon as I heard Nicolas Cage new horror movie, you know, this indie movie Longlegs, and we saw that first like teaser, I was like, oh, all in, right? Like if it was a pool, I would have jumped in head first. So I'm following it close, and I'm really, really excited for it.
Oh, I cannot wait for it. Okay, a little bit of fun for you guys. This isn't a movie or anything, but Saturday Night Live released a skit, a Scooby-Doo one, and it stars Jake Gyllenhaal and the rest of the SNL cast, and it follows, you know, the Scooby-Doo gang, like, capturing the person who's terrorizing the town, and what ensues once they capture them is, like, a total bloodshed bloodfest. I watch a lot of SNL, like, on YouTube, because I'm British, so can't watch it on TV, but I've never seen SNL, like, be so gory and actually put horror into one of their skits like that. I definitely, if you're just looking for a laugh, I'd watch it. It was a lot of fun. You can find it on YouTube, just type Scooby-Doo Saturday Night Live and it'll come up. On to games. I have only three for games. The most exciting one is there is rumours that Capcom are planning Resident Evil remake for series 30th anniversary, and Resident Evil 9 reveal coming soon. Oh my god. With Resident Evil Village and the Resident Evil 4 remake claiming many wallets last year, you know that rumours of Capcom's next remake of a Resident Evil game would eventually return to the one that started it all. That's in addition to rumours for the next entry in the series, which multiple insiders have claimed is close to being announced.
Well, I have just a couple of things that I'm excited about. The first one is You Like It Darker by Stephen King. I'm so pumped for this. He is a master of storytelling, and this is a collection of short stories. And I'll just read this little blurb, and it says, in quotes, "You like it darker? Fine. So do I." Writes Stephen King in the afterword to his magnificent new collection of 12 stories that delve into the darker part of life, both metaphorical and literal. King has, for half a century, been a master of the form, and these stories about fate, mortality, luck, and the folds in reality where anything can happen, as rich and riveting as his novels. So I'm just really pumped for it, and I love Stephen King.
You know what? I like short stories. Horror anthologies. I am such a sucker for horror anthologies. This sounds super cool. Stephen King. Sorry, Jasper, I think I was cutting you off there.
No, I was just asking, has he ever done short stories before? That's quite different for him, isn't it?
No. No, he's got lots of short stories.
Like a lot of his adaptations are actually based on King short stories.
Yeah, he's actually really famous for them. In fact, a little bit of personal trivia for me. When I was a little girl, Mom was reading one of his short stories back in the 80s. The cover of the book had like an open palm with eyes in it.
I know that book.
Yeah, it's gonna drive me nuts.
Are you failing at your own trivia?
I'm failing at my own trivia. Oh my god. All right, so in it, like, I remember, like, one of the scenes was a guy in space that was, like, turning into a spider guy, almost. And, so apparently when I was, like, really little, I begged her to read it to me to put me to sleep, and she was like, no, it's too scary. And apparently I annoyed her enough that she gave in and read that to me to go to sleep. And then every night after that, I was like, no, I want the spooky book.
You want the spooky book?
That's what I would say. I want the spooky book.
You want it, right? Yeah. Nice. And there begins the origin of Gigi's horror-loving life.
Exactly. And then so there's that book. And then the other project I'm really excited about is there's a YouTuber that does reviews named Chris Stuckman. And he always does this thing like, let's get Stuckmanized. And it cracks me up. I love it. And he is really into horror movies in particular. And he is making one called Shelby Oaks, which is a found footage one. It's going to have a theatrical release this year. We don't have an exact date, but I'm super pumped. Yeah. So Shelby Oaks revolves around a woman looking for a long lost sister and discovers a childhood imaginary demon is real. So I feel kind of bummed because we've already had like 2 movies like that this year with that kind of premise of the imaginary friend is real. And then we have like that really big one coming out with Ryan Reynolds, imaginary friend, like If.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm super pumped for that one. But I'm like, ooh, another imaginary friend. But maybe that's just the year for it. So, well, that's all I have for news. And so we're going to jump into the round table, and Lena is going to get us started and then fade away again. All right, Lena, what do you have for us this week?
The past, I'm going to say 2 weeks again because I'm very rarely in there, I have noticed. I have watched Talk to Me. I finally got around to watching Talk to Me.
Nice.
And as you all know, I was very fascinated with the movie. I loved the movie. I don't know what to think about the announcement that it's getting a sequel, but we'll see. I'm mostly skeptical, I've seen. I'm really happy about...
They had already shot a prequel to come out and then a sequel.
Damn.
You know, at the start...
They're working on the sequel now. The prequel's like done, but it's done very rough. I think like in cam footage, like phone cam footage style. Like they went super guerrilla to do it.
It's about Duck. I think it was Duck, the guy at the start.
Yeah. The little brother, yeah.
Oh, the little brother that died in the one-shot scene.
So that's a prequel, which I'm kind of excited about because I thought that'd be quite cool.
If we ever see it, like right now, they're like, I haven't heard any plans to like distribute it. I know there was talk about just maybe releasing it online for like, fans to hype up the sequel one, which I'd be like with the same team. Like, I get what you're saying. Like a one and done for kind of like a groundbreaking indie project like that is usually the best way to go without muddying the waters. But I really like that team, so I'll support them no matter what. And they do, when that part 2 comes out, I'll be supporting it. I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like Talk to Me blew me away, and that's what we're talking about. I think that movie was fantastic. Like, it really surprised me how good it was.
Yeah, it was perfect.
So fresh in your mind, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part of the movie, the little montage scene, like when they all
the party scene.
The party scene when they all tried out the hand and right.
That's
the
a
music.
good one.
Yeah, that was good.
And the theme, I love the theme, and it was used there. And of course,
I just love like how professional and polished the whole thing was, right?
Definitely.
Like from beginning to end. The acting was phenomenal. I know we've talked about this before, but like I didn't know anyone that was in this. You know what I mean? Like as far as I know, they're all first timers and everything, and it was so much better than most of the Hollywood garbage that we get. The acting, cinematography, directing, like it was so pro. Like I just can't say enough good things about that one.
The hand wasn't also originally not meant to be in the movie. Like they didn't have a prop hand. It was originally just going to be like a mirror kind of thing. But then they did it last minute. I'm really glad they did because it does a lot. It's like an artifact because it's something new, I think.
Yeah, and there's now a cool collectible on the market for like huge fans of the movie, right?
Definitely.
The little movie prop scale hand. That's pretty cool.
I love it. Yeah, but that was Talk to Me was probably the most well-known movie I've watched. Then I've watched a movie that got recommended to me by Jasper. The Coffee Table. I'm not gonna go into too much detail since some of us
your review on that.
Like really one of those ones you don't want to spoil because going into it, it's like, oh my god.
It's what I already said in the server. You gotta watch it to know what's going on, and you gotta experience it yourself. So
I had Lena in my messages watching it and typing, going, no, and I'm like, I know, brother, I know.
Even though it's not a horror movie per se, I mean, how did you describe it? A dark comedy drama?
It's a black comedy drama, yeah. But the thing is like, I've said this before in the podcast, I think movies don't have to be in the horror genre to be, as long as it can horrify you. And this one did really fucking horrify me. It's a horror, like through and through.
I'm with you. I think that
all about elements.
I can't recommend it enough. Like I keep saying to Gigi, have you watched it yet? Have you watched it?
It's really got this Alfred Hitchcock bomb effect. Like you're just waiting for the bomb to blow up, but you don't know how and when, and you're scared of it. And then it happens, and oh boy, how it happens.
It's a French movie, so I'm not really well articulated with French actors. I don't know how famous.
Really, it was French. But I thought it was Spanish.
It's Spanish. Sorry, it's Spanish. Okay, so I'm not articulating famous Spanish actors either. But the dad's acting in this movie, it was like he was actually going through this trauma, and we were watching a documentary like as it was happening because he was just so mind-blowingly good. I would follow this man's career. He's that good, honestly.
He is, definitely.
Have you seen this one, Gigi?
I've not. I really want to watch it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Watch it, Gigi!
I will. I'm totally going to.
And then I've watched, it was a back-to-back watch I did, and I've watched Scare Package. It's an anthology movie. Yeah. I love it so much. I was going into it, and I was like, that's kind of weird. I didn't understand the start because I didn't know it was going to be an anthology movie. And I was like, oh, I get it now. And then it was just so stupidly funny, and the effects were great on everything. Like the effects were top tier. When you think about it being not a well-known movie, I'd say.
Yeah.
A lower budget movie. It was so much fun to just watch. It was such an easy watch, and it's nothing that tries to be too intelligent.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun horror. Yeah.
It is. And I've seen there's a second movie about it, and I didn't watch it, and I'm trying to get my hands on it now because it was so fun. It was really fun.
I highly recommend it. The second one, they really did a great job, and especially since you're a fan of the Saw franchise, I think you'll really appreciate it because there's a lot of references.
Great. Is the second one also anthology again, or is it like only focusing on the main movie?
Focusing on the main one.
Like on the main character and the last one?
No,
okay.
No.
It has like one story, you mean?
Yeah, it has like one story, sorry.
But that's still good as long as they keep the humor, I think.
They do. Yeah, they do. And I don't want to spoil anything for you, but it's great.
Yeah. Scare Package is a movie. I still recommend to everyone. Easy watch. A lot of great mini movies. And sometimes you're just sitting there being like, what did I watch? What was that? Nothing made sense. But it was
like Jasper's Tubi week last week.
I had a Tubi week this week to help me.
Man, I really gotta get Tubi and then we'll just watch everything.
I just keep thinking I'm doing this for Cold Dead Heart. I'm doing it for them so they don't have to watch it, okay?
For me it's all the Prime movies.
Did you pick the movies or did you just pick one and then let it roll with the next suggested movie?
No, they've had 3 releases in the last 2 weeks of horror movies.
Oh, right.
So I've just been like, everybody's been like talking about them and unsure. So I've watched them, then went back to general chat and said, don't watch it. Not worth your time, guys. Move on. So yeah, I've been the guinea pig Ken.
No. And the last one, when I was on my Prime spree, when I just searched for movies I haven't heard of in Amazon Prime, I already talked to the with Gigi and Jasper just like 10 minutes before. It's 13 Fanboy. It's basically a movie that every Friday the 13th fan must watch if they love to see the actors all in one movie again. Like, not the one from the first movie, it's actors from the 5th one, the 7th one. 2 different Jason actors are in it. My favorite Jason actor is in it, which is Kane Hodder. I really love Kane. Even though not everyone liked him as Jason.
I like Kane. Kane's badass.
Legendary as Jason.
He is,
What's the movie? Sorry.
13 Fanboy. It's about, like the title already says, a fanboy of Friday the 13th movies that goes around and kills the actors, like stalks them, plays with them, and then kills them.
I'm gonna have to watch this.
Like I already said, it's not
I'm putting it on my list right now.
Perfect movie per se. It's not a great movie. Some scenes are irrelevant. Some cuts are like very weird, and it's just a movie you gotta see when you're a fan of the series to just see all your favorites. You can see it was more like a fun thing to do, like with the Mean One movie, where you knew, okay, it's a weird movie, but you still watched it because of the fun they had. And they were like, all the actors, there was the director of Never Hike Alone in it, Dead Meat, the YouTuber we covered the awards from, was in it, which made me very happy because I didn't know. And some characters are also very over the top, like you got the creep, you got the overly aggressive boyfriend and all that kind of stuff, but you can't go around it. You just have to deal with it in the movie.
I'm definitely going to watch that this week.
Check it out for sure.
Yeah.
Oh. It just tries a bit too hard for me to be a bit like Scream in a way with the whodunit.
Right.
Not because of who it is, but because of the whole, who might it be, and using a different voice changer and all that kind of stuff.
It sounds like it's maybe doing that intentionally, just to
maybe
like making fun of itself.
Yeah, but it's just
you had a productive week.
I did, and I'm not stopping because now I'm like in this kind of watching movies that I haven't heard of before, and maybe they're bad, maybe they're good, you never know. And then I just throw in a famous movie I haven't watched yet, and get everything.
Well, if you want some recommendations, I can definitely hook you up with some Tubi movies.
I gotta get to before that first, but I still got a watch list for horror with 21 movies in it. So I might be good for now. Hopefully.
Too shabby.
Yeah. But that was all I have, yeah.
Lena?
And
Good
I'm
week for
more.
you, Lena.
Definitely.
All right, and back to the land of the living. What do you have to recap for us, Jasper?
I have a lot. I've been keeping up with what's coming out. I started my week off with Sting, which was written and directed by Kaya Rowe Turner. I don't know if you've heard about this, but the synopsis goes, after raising an unnerving, talented spider in secret, 12-year-old Charlotte must face the facts about her pet and fight for her family's survival when the once charming creature rapidly transforms into a giant flesh-eating monster. This has been out for a little while. I was kind of hesitant about it. I'm not really into not so much creature features, but bug feature movies. They give me the ick, but I figured I'd give this a go. I quite enjoyed it. There was a nice little nod to J.R.R. Tolkien as well. The Hobbit. She named her spider, was it Sting? After the sword that Bilbo uses to fight the spiders. So I thought that was kind of like a nice little touch. I'd say for this movie, it was okay. It's one of those ones like if you're wanting to chill at the weekend with something easy to watch, Sting's the one to go for. It's definitely a decent movie, decent budget, decent cast, and good acting. So yeah, I give them an A for effort with this one.
This is the one, Gigi, when we were looking for Infested, we, for a quick second, mixed up with Infested, because Infested's got different names, and we were like, Sting, and it was just funny, 2 spider movies, right?
Right, yeah.
We thought, because, Infested was Infested in North America, but it was Vermin in France. And there was this hot second where we were like, Sting, is that the Portuguese version or something? But no, it's completely own movie. Yeah,
I'd say Sting's.
I thought you didn't do spider movies, Jasper. We tried to get you to watch Infested.
I suffer.
You were like, hard no.
I suffer from FOMO. I'm going to watch it eventually. I put them off. Okay, I need to watch them, but I take my time with the spider ones. As much as I enjoyed Sting, I went to see Strangers Chapter 1. I want to.
Was it good?
No.
I've heard terrible things. Okay.
Yeah, the reviews are trash.
So I have a Google Doc here because I like to write down my thoughts on the movie, and the first line says, I also watched The Strangers Chapter 1, which was ... highly disappointing.
Oh.
Reviews by Jasper.
Let's just leave it at that. Next. No, but seriously, I really want...
What a shame too, right? Because there was a small cult following for The Strangers, and they promoted the hell out of it. And then I'm hearing all the fans, I don't pay attention to general reviews, but fans of a franchise I'll generally pay more attention to. And no one liked it by the sounds of it.
So I really wanted to enjoy this movie because, like you said, I enjoyed the first installment, but this movie was terrible. Okay, so the synopsis, which we all know, but I'll recap for the listeners. After their car breaks down in an eerie small town, a young couple is forced to spend the night in a remote cabin. Panic ensues as they are terrorized by 3 masked strangers who strike with no mercy and seemingly no motive. I think what really fracking, I'm trying not to swear here, irked me the most was how dumb the characters were. It was like 2 neurons between them, and they were goofily passing the ball to one another. That's what these characters were like. It was like one stupid movement to the next, and you kind of think to yourself, okay, why are you doing this? Why is this a scene? It's stupid.
Right.
And even then, the killers in the first one were just so terrifying. And obviously there's that famous line at the end where the woman's like, why are you doing this? And they're like, because you were home. And that striked fear into so many people because there was no reason for it being malicious. But not only were the main characters boring, but so were the killers. The killers were boring. The last 5 minutes in the movie was good. That was it. Because the last 5 minutes of the movie was the last 5 minutes of the first movie, which brings me on to what else grinds my gears about this movie. As the director says, he said, I didn't want to take on this movie if it was just going to be like the other ones. This is very unique, and we think you're going to enjoy it. But it's basically it's like a C version of the first movie. That's all this was. But they've actually shot. It was actually 4 hours long, but I think they're dividing it into 2 chapters, which is evident by how it ends. I'm not going to spoil it, but I know I'm going to watch chapter 2, but I'm not going to go to the cinema for chapter 2. It was.
Well, I'd like to give a little nod to Abed from Community, whose take on horror movies is it's hard to care about characters that make decisions that the viewers wouldn't make.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you know, for the sake of an easy writing day, you make your characters dumb, people don't care about them. And then people won't care what happens to them. And then there's no fear when you're watching something. You really don't care about what happens to the characters because they're dumb. You know what I mean? And I think that rings really, really true with a lot of movies that don't have the effort into them. It's almost like the people involved would rather be doing something else, but they took a job and they don't really care.
Yeah, I mean,
which is unfortunate.
You're right.
It's unfortunate in any genre, but like for us, I feel like it's almost like an insult, right? Sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying?
It's like what you were saying. It's a popcorn movie. If that. Right. You know, like popcorn movies, but this. Anyway, I'm going to shut up before I get more angry. Like I was shouting in the server. I jokingly said to everybody in the server, if anybody watches this and enjoys it, you're banned. Okay. You're banned if you enjoy this movie. Okay.
Can't be trusted.
Yeah, I won't trust anything you say about a movie, like I will not. But I finally got around to watching Baghead. That's been out for a little while. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I love Baghead.
Oh my god. So you know the synopsis, but for the listeners, a young woman inherits a rundown pub and discovers a dark secret within its basement. Baghead, a shape-shifting creature that will let you speak to loved ones, but not without consequences. So as Lena was talking about Talk to Me, I instantly thought about Baghead because I love it when directors take on a supernatural movie but write up unique ways to bring the supernatural into the movie. Like Talk to Me, they brought the supernatural into it with the hand and the ceremony that went along with the hand. And I enjoyed Baghead for that reason. There was this creature and it was brought into our world in an interesting way. So I'm going to give them like a pat on the back for that because that's what really struck me as, the way it was executed was fantastic. So it's definitely an A+. Like I went from chapter 1 to Baghead and I felt a lot better about myself and about my decisions in life. This one, you know, like there wasn't a lot of teasers for this one. There was a trailer and then it just dropped. So I watched the trailer for The Silence of the Prey, and then I actually finally watched it for the listeners' synopsis. And a desperate bid to secure a future for her child, an undocumented immigrant mother takes a caretaker job. Unbeknownst to her, the elderly man conceals a horrifying truth. This was done by a company that I've been seeing quite a lot called Signature Entertainment, and they're actually pumping out quite a lot of horror movies. They've just recently brought out a trailer for a shark movie. So I'm quite excited about that. They're on Twitter and they're posting a lot. I have a few gripes with Silence of the Prey, but I feel like it's not their fault because they are a new company. So I feel like this movie, because of its concept, would have been good if they had a bigger budget. And I know that's not what horror's about. It's not always about the budget, but it's the budget in that they were lacking a little bit in acting. The sets were kind of so-so. The costumes were kind of so-so. And the writing, it felt like the dialogue was kind of janky with some lines. And if they reworded it in those scenes, I feel like it would have been more impactful with what they were trying to do. So
that's like, I could forgive everything with new production houses and low budget. I could personally, I could forgive a lot and base my opinion on concept and budget. But like if you're not gonna have the budget for big effects and wardrobe and stuff like that, you gotta freaking nail the story and dialogue. Right? Like, and I think those are kind of the two most important things in any movie, right? But like, especially in a small production or a low budget production, if you have those two things nailed and you fail in everything else, you could still be an outstanding movie with that understanding that, that was a low budget production. You tried to take a big concept and do it the best you could on the budget.
Yeah.
And I could forgive that and still give movies like that a super high score. But when your dialogue is, janky
as hell,
immature, or you know what I mean, like not polished, then like what are you doing then, right? Like you didn't have a lot of money, and like why weren't the easy things done right? You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to say that stuff like that's easy. What I mean is, why are you making movies if you don't already have that down? You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense, like that, if all you have as the core of your production is going to be, the hands-on things like script and story, then make those your own, right? Like, big budgets sometimes get away with crappy dialogue and stuff because they're throwing all kinds of money at the big special effects that just kind of capture people. Oh, the dialogue sucked, but this was cool and that was cool and the gore was good. But if you don't have that, then you gotta nail everything else.
It just
that's a little aggravating. Because I love supporting indie stuff, but that's why I love indie stuff. Is because usually the story and dialogue and stuff is so much better than big studio stuff. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
No, I kind of want to give them a chance because it's like when Shudder started off, and you know how Tubi, as much as their movies aren't great, I understand that they're just starting off and it could get better. So I kind of do want to support them. I'm going to check out a few of their other movies and I'll let you know next week how I feel about them, whether it's just not worth it and it's kind of like just cash grabs or not. But yeah, it was lacking. The concept, I don't want to give too much. The concept just is so fantastic, but it was poorly executed. But I followed that way. Boy Kills World. I've been so excited for this movie. I wanted to add this in because I know it's not horror, but there was so much gore. There was practically blood on the screen for the entire movie. So, Boy Kills World is a fever dream action film that follows Boy, a deaf and mute person with a vibrant imagination. When his family is murdered, he is trained by a mysterious shaman to repress his childhood imagination and become an instrument of death. And it kind of reminded me of like the Deadpool format, that kind of humor. And because the main character is deaf and mute and he doesn't speak at all, he has this inner voice, right? And it's voiced by the guy that does voiced Archer and the dad from Bob's Burgers.
Funny.
And there was this one bit, right? He can read lips, but there's this guy and he's got a big giant beard and he can't read his lips. But while this guy's talking to him, you're hearing what he's reading on his lips. And the other guy understands, so the other guy's like, right friend, tell him about the mission. And the guy goes, Klondike Bar Waffle Farmers. And he'll say like chopping off the farmer's toes with a rake, and then they'll show you them actually doing it, and he's like, I don't think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'll just nod my head, and I was giggling all the way through it, and the effects for the gore as well, because obviously he's just killing everybody. Great. It's a great movie, and watch it, please.
Yeah,
I think you guys
it didn't do very well in the box office.
I'm really surprised.
I remember looking at the stats, like, just for something else, but like on that opening weekend, and it got beat out by almost everything. And even I shouldn't say even because it's a classic, but the 40th anniversary of Alien came out that same weekend, and it was like limited theaters, limited showings, and Alien still beat them by like a small margin, but like a 40-year-old movie. Still, like, it just edged them out of the top 10, I think.
That's sad. That's so sad, because I was laughing. Like, I don't generally watch a lot of comedies and that, but I was laughing the whole way through. It was a good watch. That's kind of it from what I watched. I do have something else to say, is that we've decided as a whole to promote our content creators from the Cold Dead Heart server. So we're going to start doing that weekly and introduce you guys and the listeners to people who are out there creating horror content. And yeah, there's a man by the name of Rob Garcia, who's a fantastic member of the Cold Dead Heart server. I've been watching a lot of his online content as he does old movie reviews, but the way his format is, it's hilarious, right? I mean, if we could insert his video here, Gigi. Right. And then we'll just like play that video there if it's okay.
You got
Not only that, but he's actually a comic book creator.
Oh.
I actually reached out to Rob and asked him about his journey and whatnot and what he's been doing with it. So this is all quote from Rob. He says, so the comic project that I've been doing is the third issue of an anthology comic called Zombic Buck. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. With over 20 different creators, this is a collaborative effort created by Brian Judge, a good friend of mine who helped get my foot into the door of indie comic zine publishing. Some of my works include Grublin's Lord of the Ashes, the entry comic of a dark fantasy series, as well as Pumpkin Man, a classic horror slasher short story. I've decided on horror as my main genre of storytelling, as I feel it can have the most potent impact on the readers, if crafted well. For I think it's XOMIK. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Buck, issue number 3. I've submitted a short story about a Chinampa farmer in Mexico who lost his son in the middle of the lake. While grieving, he can still hear the cries from the water many days later and searches endlessly for his body. However, soon he finds out that something else has replaced his son. The current deadline is July 21st, so he assumes that the publication will be shortly after that. Rob also said that he's currently working on another title, and because of the medium that he is searching for a talented artist to bring his dreadful story to life. So if you want to find Rob, he's in the Cold Dead Heart server, and he's also on TikTok as Grave in Reviews, but there'll be a link down there on YouTube for you, or Spotify if you're listening. And that about covers it for me. What do you have?
Yeah, Rob's a really good guy. Newer member, but super active and just a really nice guy. And it's funny because I talk comics with him all the time. He's like one of the few people like in the book channel that'll, chat comics and stuff with me. And he's got a rich history and knowledge of it. And then even a lot of the art that he shares, it's all like classic horror art stuff. So we've gotten along really good that way. And then it's funny because all the talk about comics in there, I just realized that he was actually creating some of his own stuff. So that's super cool. I'm definitely interested. Check it out.
The Pumpkin Slasher, there'll be a link for that as well that's selling for like $8, and it looks great. So I'm definitely going to grab a copy. I'm definitely up for us.
I love supporting members.
Yes. Yeah.
It's on oneandomlycomics.com.
That's the one.
Yep.
That's the one. Thank you, C.
Very cool.
But yeah, that covers it for me. What about you, Ken?
It's been I missed last week, so it was a heavy movie and book week for me. We went away up north for a couple of days, so it was a lot of sitting and drinking beers in the sun and doing a lot of reading. We had a friend brought up a bunch of movies and a laptop with a bunch of movies, and we did a big projection screen outside, so we watched a bunch of movies. We also last week got to hit up the theater a couple of times, which was really nice. So I'm not going to go through my whole list of movies because there's I think about 8 or 9 of them with old and new stuff. But I did want to highlight, I rewatched When Evil Lurks by Damien Rudna. We talked about this movie a while back when we were doing the Dead Meat Horror Awards. And I had watched it roughly around that time because I knew it was a contender in a lot of them. But I had watched it with a couple of friends. And now it's a Spanish film, subtitled, and not a fantastic movie to watch in a crowd. So it's on Shudder, and I watched it at home by myself and was able to really kind of focus on it. And man, that movie was so much better the second time. Not that I didn't love it the first time. It's just being really able to take in the story with the cinematography and the acting. There was 0 point in this movie where it fell flat. Like, it was top notch right across the board. The kills, the gore, like, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I'm just saying it's in my top 10 horrors. I love
When Evil Lurks. Good.
Yes.
Yeah, it is just movie. So damn good. Mm-hmm. And like some of like the more monstrous scenes, in case it's a newer movie, so I'll give a very quick synopsis for anyone who hasn't heard of it. When the residents of a small rural town discover that a demon is about to be born among them, they desperately try to escape, but it may be too late. Now, the way that they go about the lore in this, I find super fascinating because it's this really cool concept, but it's like a well-known thing. Like the government is aware of it. Like it's something that happens on a cycle. There's religious groups that are trained to deal with it, even though it's very, very few and far between. And some people still kind of think it's a myth, but like it's a very cool concept the way that they did it, and they made it very, very real world, like this. This strange, monstrous demon concept. I loved it, and I thought that the actual.
Sorry,
G. Yeah, no, you're good.
One of the things I thought was so cool that they did, and they didn't expand on it at all. But do you remember when they have the boys in the car and they're fleeing the town, and they arrive at that house, and the exorcist lady, for lack of a better term, the cleaner.
She was the brother's like old girlfriend or something.
No,
like they had a relationship, right?
No. Okay, so do you remember? So the thing that I thought was really cool is when they look back at the town, all the lights are off, and she said they've started the protocol.
Oh, right.
So it's like they know,
because the electrical light,
gives them power, the rotten power. So. It's like, all right, so this is like way more of a known thing. But no, so the reason she's there is her husband was coming to perform the cleaning of the rotten dude.
Her husband was the one that got
shot
in half.
No.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one that they found at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, oh sorry, the one that they found. Yeah, shot though, I thought. But yeah, you're right, he was cut in half.
He was, because they just found his legs or something.
Yeah.
And then his toolkit, the exorcist toolkit. Yeah.
So that was her husband. Right. And the thing is that they'd left the rotten in that house. And I need to watch this
movie for a third time.
A year.
Right.
And so the boy, the brother of the possessed person, confessed at the end of the movie. He said, he got in my head and made me shoot him because remember they heard the gunshot.
Oh yeah, he was the one that killed the husband. Yes.
And then he says,
it's a complex movie. There's a lot of threads to follow.
And he ate his mother like the boy ate his grandma.
Grandmother, at the end.
Yeah.
So,
how gross was that?
Yeah. So because that's one of the main themes of the movie is cannibalism. So, I don't know. So that's the reason that cleaner was there is because her husband was supposed to be there and she had lost contact and knew something that must have gone wrong. So she was coming to fulfill her duty. And
so,
yeah.
Let me ask you guys a quick question. And I hope I'm not spoiling it too much for anyone. But the dog. Does the dog get possessed by smelling the clothes?
No, he licked.
I know there was a big deal that they had to take off their clothes and burn them. Oh, because he licked the clothes.
The residue of the rotten was on his clothes from him handling him. Remember, he breaks the sheet, so he has the goo on his clothes, which is why he's standing in his ex-wife's house naked. But unfortunately, the dog was snuffling and licking at his clothes and became possessed. Yeah. And animals in that universe are easily possessed.
I mean,
and that's what they say. Don't trust animals. Don't trust animals in general when there's there's a demon about. But
demons and kids,
that goat
animals
scene.
And kids.
Oh man,
that's one of the things. Oh my god, they went for the jugular because
dude, I will never forget that scene. I will never forget it.
Vibe in that schoolhouse, man.
It's just such a great movie. I kind of just want to rewatch it now. Thank you. I do. It's so good. Perfect.
Yeah, and it's. I know it's not a movie that you could sell easily to most people because it is a subtitled movie. But holy jeez, blown away, man. I was
he's got.
Now I feel like I need to watch it again.
So one of the things he's also
absolutely, and concept-wise too, right?
I don't want to get obviously I don't want to get political or anything like that or step on anybody's toes, but I thought it was really interesting that he said it was a metaphor for pollution.
Okay.
I could see that.
Because everything that it touches gets tainted.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Like that.
This movie might be worth a deep dive someday.
Yes.
Someday soon. Because it's got so many layers to it.
We need to make a list of our deep dives.
Yeah. Deep dive movies, We'll do a mix of classic. We'll do a mix of classic horror that built the genre, 80s horror, and then new stuff. Right?
Just make sure that
24-hour episode.
Just make sure that you name your list the Ken Fairies and we'll be good.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a side column.
No, it was last episode when you weren't here, Ken. Gigi was like, I've got a fairy. I was like, lay your Ken fairy on me, let's go.
Yes.
It's a thing now. This is a thing.
Yeah. Tinfoil hats on, boys and girls. That's good. All right, I'm going to move us along because I got two more big ones here to talk about. I finally watched The First Omen. Say finally, it's still a new movie, but I was really pumped for this because the 80s Omen is one of my favorite 80s movies. So I was kind of nervous about this one. I know the reviews were really good, but prequels so far after usually kind of give me the jitters going in. This movie was bonkers good. I'm going to give a quick rundown and then I'm going to give my full review on it. So, a woman starts to question her own faith when she uncovers a terrifying conspiracy to bring about the birth of evil incarnate in Rome and at the Vatican. Well, at the Vatican level, not physically at the Vatican. So, let me just say that this movie was shot beautifully. The cinematography in it, the acting. Cinematography was top notch. The acting was fantastic. Before I go further into like a review here, has anyone not seen this one?
I have not seen this one yet, actually. So, but
the first one. It just came out at the beginning of April. What's that?
I'm slacking. I haven't either.
Yes, no worries. And I was a bit worried that, like, especially with religious horror, because we know, like, religious horror, one, it's been crammed down our throat lately, right? Like, I know, like, most people, I was getting burnt out on it. But this felt so fresh and, like, needed in that genre. I was really worried, like, with any religious horror, that it was going to be a bit preachy, like, full of, like, churchy propaganda. But nope. This one kind of flipped that typical narrative that we've come to expect right on its head in a super brilliant way. So that's all I'm really going to say about it. But I absolutely loved it. And the next new one that I watched was Abigail.
Nice.
So, Gigi, I know you saw Abigail, right?
I think everybody except for me has seen it.
Yeah, Jasper, you've seen it too?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, I know the reviews on this were really good. I thought it was kind of a letdown in a bunch of ways. There were some things that I really, there was some. I don't think it really should have been marketed as a horror movie per se, because it was kind of more of like an action thriller with some horror elements. But like, so there were some really good actors in it. The dialogue, was, I thought, just horrible. Like, it was like, my eyes were so sore from rolling. You know what I mean? Like, this movie. And there's some actors in it that I actually really like, and they were just not good in this. The scripts weren't good. The scene setups weren't good. The relationships between these characters were so bad. Like, but they were written, and I can't blame the actors, right? Like, you, as an actor or a professional, you've just got to dealt the cards that are handed to you and do the best you can with them. But honestly, the best actor in that movie was this kid that I don't know.
She was great.
I thought she nailed it. And even her dialogue wasn't dynamite, but that's not her fault, right? Her delivering was spot on for a kid. Usually I despise kid actors, but I thought she nailed it. She nailed this role perfect. I'm going to end my little rant on this. Well, let me say first, the kills were some of the weakest. You didn't even see them. So it was cool, like that pop, you know what I mean? Like, what was that movie we were talking about recently where the kids in the school have the disease and they just blow up?
Oh, that was,
Spontaneous.
Yes.
Spontaneous, yeah. So, like, I'm always down for some, like, bloody explosions, right? Like, that's fun. Spontaneous. Oh, that's such a good movie. See, you gotta check that out. So I'm always down for that. But like almost all the kills in this happened off screen, and they showed like, you know, like some decapitation or like decapitated bodies and stuff, and that's all like cool. But like there was no really good kills. You know, and the popping, that's fine, but that's all CG, right? There was no, like, super good practical kills. Again, the characters, I didn't like. Their relationships, I despised. I thought they were so phony and fake. The dialogue sucked. The cinematography in the house and everything, the overall concept, I thought was really cool. And the kid, and again, this speaks volumes, because typically the kids are my least favorite thing about any movie, especially a horror movie, but she nailed it. I thought she was super good. The one good thing, not like the one good thing, but I'll tell you my favorite point. And this is, again, really odd for me because I'm not someone that appreciates dance sequences at all. Right? Like, call me when it's over is usually my take. But when they called it puppeting, and they called it puppeting so many times it got annoying. But that first puppeting scene with the blonde girl, who I thought was actually really good in it, they did that whole sequence to Blood and Tears by Danzig from like Danzig's like first solo album, and I thought that was like such a brilliant choice, and it was done so well. It was like one of the first like these modern like dance scenes that people like to inject into things, which I typically don't enjoy. But I loved it. And maybe the song choice had a lot to do with it, or it just made me kind of focus a little bit more on it, but I thought it was really well done and an epic song choice. So I thought that was fantastic. That's one of my favorite songs, and I thought it was a good moment for it. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, so I've got two people with me that have seen this. Lay it on me. What did you guys think?
Well, I kind of spoke briefly on it last week. So the guy, the stoner idiot guy, I can't remember his character now. That was Angus MacLeod, and that was actually one of his last movies before he passed away. So I was very surprised. No. Yeah, he passed away last July, so I was really surprised to see him in it.
Young dude.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. It's really sad that he passed. Rest in peace. But I felt the same as you, Ken. It was one-liner jokes after the other, and I was rolling my eyes too, my guy. Like, the dialogue just didn't hit it for me. There was...
No. It was almost like that dialogue that's almost intentionally, like, trying to be campy, but, like, intentionally bad. I don't know, man. Or even like trying to be clever, but like not written by a clever person. And I'm no Einstein, you know what I mean? I'm not a literary genius by any means, right? I'm not saying I could do better, but that's not my profession. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like I hear more intelligent conversations walking down the hall. Sorry.
Oh no, setting Gigi off. She's gone.
Oh, sorry.
There was I like to read the trivia on movies once I've watched them. The director loved the little girl's dancing so much that they actually added in more scenes of her dancing. So that's why there is quite a lot of dance scenes, because he was like almost entranced by her movements. That was a big A for me. I did like the set. I liked the house that they were in. I thought it was really quite pretty to look at, and I love the kitchen especially. I thought that was kind of like a really nice
the kitchen with the greenhouse attachment.
Yes.
Yeah,
I give me that.
But it was cool because it almost had like this old kind of like this modern mixed with this old haunted house kind of feel.
Yeah.
And like it was cool. I feel like the house itself was like a cool part of a cool concept, but almost underused in a lot of ways. I don't know.
What
like
about
there could have been some. What?
The pool.
Oh, that pool of corpses. That was dynamite.
Yeah.
That was really good. You're right. I'm sorry. It was actually watching it. It was like one of the times that I kind of like adjusted my seat. I'm like, okay, now this is pretty dope, right? And I knew it right away. As soon as it was like happening, I'm like, I could feel it, right? That was the pool of corpses was definitely cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Gigi? Because you actually went to the cinema.
Gigi, lay it on me because I know you like this one.
I did. I thought it was a lot of fun. The thing is that like, I think half the reason that I like it is just the company I was with, because they were throwing back, my mom in particular was throwing like a lot of one-liners back at the movie every time they'd say stuff, and so it was like cracking me up. But
you're totally right though. Like the crowd, like the people that you experience a movie with, especially in the theater, can definitely enhance or in a negative way, subtract, right? But I know, like, I've been there where I've seen a movie that's not so great, but with friends that are very excited for it, and I come out with a sense of enjoyment, and then watch the movie later, I'm like, that movie's trash. Why did I like it so much in the theater? Because it was the experience and the people that you're with, right?
Exactly. And I think, so that made it a good time. And honestly, it's movies like that make me want to go back to the theater more, just because it was such a fun experience. And I mean, it's definitely like popcorn horror we were talking about before.
Sure.
It didn't require any sort of like thought or deep analysis. I'm not going to do a deep dive on Abigail like I would love to do on When Evil Lurks. Because there's nothing substantial there. But it was a lot of fun, and it was really well acted. The set design was cool. The dance scenes were cool. Like there was just a lot of positive things I could say about it. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I am glad that you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And you're not wrong. Like, and I feel like because I could get down with just a popcorn horror movie, right? If I'm constantly, entertained. I guess what my problem was, one, the lack of, like, if that movie had, like, I don't know, just like 5 times more of the bloody kills, more frequent, like, from beginning to end, because they kind of like junked everything up at the back end of it. But like, if the movie was like this slow slaughter and everything else was the same, but you actually got some good visual kills and stuff like that, I might have felt completely different. I might have been like, it's not a masterpiece, but it's fun. And that was kind of all I was hoping for with this one, was, just a fun time. And it is a fun movie. I'm not saying it's a trash movie. I'm just saying that it's like, for the things in that rhythm of storytelling, the things that are supposed to carry it, I felt let it down. And a lot of that was just the relationships between the different people. Like, I don't know. There was like a point with like the main girl and then the main like guy that turns out to be the bad guy, and they have this weird banter back and forth and looks and glances, almost like they're old friends, but like they just met each other. They don't know each other's names. Like a lot of that relationship stuff that was interjected. I don't know if it was intentional or just happened to be the actors. Like, I had thought at a point that they actually knew each other and were pretending like they didn't, but then that never played out. Like, so then what was with the glances and the holding of the hand and stuff earlier in the scene, right? Like, it didn't make sense. And then it just dawned on me, oh, no one was paying attention and nobody cared because they were making a popcorn movie and they just let it go, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, like, again, not terrible, and I definitely don't hold it against anyone for enjoying it, except for Gigi. But I'm just joking.
You're banned, Gigi. You're banned.
Oh, no.
Anyone who likes this movie,
Banned.
But anyways, yeah, no, it just it kind of fell a little bit flat from that, in just fun horror movie for me, anyways. But we'll move on from that in an awkward way. For books, I'm about halfway through World War Z right now for the Wither Community Discord book club, and loving that. It's a reread, and it's funny how many parts I find of that book have really stuck with me over time, like Yonkers. And I know Yonkers is like a big portion, right? But like, there was so many portions of it that it felt like I was reading for the first time. And I was like maybe a few paragraphs into Yonkers where it's like it's burned in my brain and I know what's coming up. You know what I mean? And I like, because it's kind of told almost anthology style, like there's shorter stories and stuff that feel very fresh to me that maybe I just didn't latch onto. And every single one of them is fantastic. And I almost feel like this is a book that would be worth, we deep dive movies, every so often. I would love to deep dive World War Z, because I think it's one that most people have read. It's like been a bestseller for so long, and now we're all rereading it like fresh. I think that would be super, super cool. But yeah, no surprise, World War Z is top notch, right? I'd love to jump into a deep dive on that. Monolith, which I talked about not last week, but the week before, the new Spawn Universe horror-themed book came out. I read that. It was okay. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting. Monolith is kind of like this unknown character. Like, we don't really know a lot about him. He's kind of like a one-liner, big brute guy that's been recently added over the last year to the character fold. And I was really kind of hoping that it's a 3-issue miniseries. I was really kind of hoping that it would dive into his backstory and how he ended up in hell and became a hell spawn and all this stuff. If that's confusing to anyone, the Spawn universe is big. I'll get into it in another show someday. Lots of characters. Essentially, the hell spawns are people from wherever they are in life, timeline or planet or whatever reality. If they end up in the hell realm and hell sees them as being a useful soldier in their war towards heaven, then they can become a hellspawn and lead an army. And that rhythm has kind of changed throughout the last 30-something years. There's been a lot of retcons, especially recently, in and who and how a hellspawn can be created. But for the most part, a lot of them just try regaining their humanity and turning against hell. And this is just an interesting character. He doesn't look human. Most of them do look like that they were human at some point, but he doesn't. And his main nemesis, which is the Omega Spawn, certainly doesn't look human. And there's been different variations of that character. So we know that this 3-issue series was supposed to kind of revolve around those two characters. And so it was more just setting up like a story arc for them now, instead of diving into who they are and where they came from, which was a little bit disappointing in it. But the storytelling in it was really good, the dialogue was good, and the art was fantastic. It wouldn't be a show with me on it if I didn't mention Creature of the Black Lagoon at least once, so I'll do that now. I finally picked up and read Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives by Ram V and Dan Waters, published by Image Comics under the Skybound Entertainment label, and it was fantastic. So, no surprise or secret, I'm a huge Universal Monster fan. Creature of the Black Lagoon was one of my first favorite monsters that kind of got me into horror as a kid. I love that movie. I love the follow-up movies. This book is kind of a play after the fact. So it takes place years after the movie. I've talked about it a lot. It was done really well. Perfect setup. I'm really excited to see where it goes. We're issue 1 of 4 right now, so that's pretty cool. And speaking of Ram V and Dan Waters, I've talked about their The Right Hand and the Six Fingers books. They're 2 separate books, but they basically overlap. The Right Hand is about a detective hunting a serial killer. The Six Fingers is about the serial killer that the detective is hunting. So I've read up to issue 3 in both now. I'm waiting for issue 4 of the Six Fingers to come out, so I can kind of cap that off. But it is getting wilder and darker and crazier. It's just a killer book. These 2 creators are fantastic, and I love that they're on both these projects together. That's about it for reading. For collections, I haven't been doing much collecting lately, but a old 80s Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth paperback graphic adaptation by Epic Publishing, which is a Marvel subgroup. I ordered a while back, just came in. It's in beautiful shape. I'll post some pictures of that. So that's cool. It's basically just Hellraiser 3 adaptation in comic form, which is super cool. And I had mentioned a while back that I bought my goddaughter the Crow Compendium. So she's reading that right now for the first time. And this Friday, we have our tickets to the 30th anniversary screening. So she's, I think, on the last chapter of it now, should be done in a day or so, right in time for us to go see the movie. But secretly, I have been collecting original Crow printings for her from the different graphic printings that came out in the early 80s. So that's going to be a little surprise for her on movie day, which should be really cool. And that about sums me up. What about you, C? What have you been up to?
Oh, goodness gracious.
You've been a busy boy, so
I have.
Take your time.
Well, busy, not busy, sitting on the couch with blanket over top of me, wallowing in my own self-pity.
That doesn't sound fun. Who invited the downer? Gigi, let me tell you why Abigail sucked for a minute.
No, so I've been really looking forward to watching that, and I think I just have this feeling that I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it, which is going to bring like a different perspective to these.
There you go.
And I think it's mainly because I'm just so easily entertained. I can watch the same movie 30, 40, 50 times, and I always get something decent out of it. We'll see. When I watch it, I'll give you guys a quick rundown.
I hope you do like it, because Gigi needs some backup the next time we talk about it.
But as far as movies go, as you are all aware, we watched Bubba Hotep on the Wither Discord last week. Won't lie, funny movie, absolutely debaucherous in regard to it being a zombie film. So Jersey Mike on the Wither Discord, I gave him the Rick and Morty. He gets to pick 1 out of every 10 adventures card.
There you go.
So we watched that, and it's weird because you were talking about, like what kind of falls into horror and not horror, right? Whether it's like an action thriller with some horror stuff. This movie wasn't a horror movie at all, in my opinion. It was a comedy.
It's a dark comedy.
It was a dark comedy with lots of one-liners, and like you have Bruce Campbell in there playing an aging Elvis in a senior home, which was hilarious. And then you got I cannot remember the guy's name, Ossie Davis, but so he's a clearly African American man who is claiming to be John F. Kennedy painted black, which I found super funny. The movie was pretty good overall, a little bit slow at times, but I thought it did justice for like the comedic horror realm, I guess.
It has become like a cult classic, right?
And this was the first time I'd ever seen it, so I was kind of surprised at how funny it was. But I've also never been shy to say that outside of like the underworld style movies, I never really got into the vampire-esque stuff or the mummy stuff.
Right.
But no, it was definitely a good film. I regret showing it.
And that was his argument, right? To it being a zombie movie, is that?
Yeah. And we went on this huge rant in the chat about what constitutes a mummy, and basically at the end of the day,
that's when Kippy said in the same way that a mummy is a zombie is like saying ketchup is also whiskey.
Yeah.
I laughed at that for a good while. Yeah.
Yeah, so that ended up being our, like, it's a zombie movie, but it's not a zombie movie. We just call them ketchup movies now.
Right. Exactly.
Next week, we're going to watch Bong of the Living Dead, and that was to kind of meet Jersey Mike in the middle there because, he loves himself some gummies.
That should be fun.
That movie actually looks kind of good. It's a bunch of stoners who are stoned as the apocalypse happens, and then they run out of whatever their, way of getting high was. And, they slowly realize that the zombie apocalypse has happened, and it's supposed to be pretty funny, so I'm looking forward to that. I did watch
you always got to keep a good backstash, man.
Yeah. You're not speaking my language, but I'll agree. There was 2 TV shows that I watched that I thought were going to be kind of not horror related, but so I finished Quiet on the Set. Gigi's been a big proponent of that one on the Discords.
Nice.
I finished that a couple days ago, and there was I don't know if you saw it, but there's another episode, like a follow up, after the series had shown. So we watched that. That was pretty horrific, but not horror. I watched this show called Baby Reindeer.
Oh my god, I love Baby Reindeer. Sorry.
So good.
I thought it was a horror movie or a horror TV show when we started it. But it's more of like like horror adjacent, right? Because it is kind of weird. There's some horrific shit that happens in it, but I thought that was okay. It goes back to what Ken was saying, where like what Abed says in the community, right? Like, if you don't make your characters do the things that a normal person would do, you kind of lose interest. Like you can't hold them into the show. And I felt like that was the way the main character in that show acted. Like I just couldn't.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I haven't seen it, right? But the main thing, the main constant thing that I hear people say, or maybe it's just a fact, forget what people say, is that the actor is the actual guy, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
He's kind of just presenting it like, this is what I did. And I'm not saying it was the right thing, right?
And it's the weirdest thing
because it was the wrong thing, but
you watch this quote unquote true story, right? Because he goes into don't, because apparently I was reading some stuff on it last night, and like a lot of people who are big fans of his are trying to criticize a bunch of people that he's worked with in the past, assuming that they are the characters in the show. And he's like, stop it.
Played the stalker actually went on a new show.
Yeah, I just saw the thing the other day where she was like, I'm the victim, he's not the victim. He was the aggressor or whatever and everything. Right. But like just watching the TV show and watching, if it is based on a real story, depending on how far you would base it on a real story, he just makes so many decisions where I'm like, what in the literal fuck is happening? Like, what are you doing? But needless to say, the show was good. Like I did like it overall.
I think what really got to me, and this is what a lot of people are saying. So the guy's obviously doing a lot of stuff where it's like, why are you doing that? Why are you not protecting yourself from this crazy stalker woman? But I think it's so real in that you just don't know what you do in that situation, and yet you might not do the right things, and you might make mistakes.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That gives it a lot of realness to it as well. So I enjoyed it for that. I really felt for the guy, just the poor soul. But the fact that she's going on the shows and saying it's not real, and he's kind of keeping quiet, that kind of speaks volumes. The interview itself was nuts. I'm just going to say it was nuts. She was.
So, I haven't seen it
too. She's not well, and you can tell.
Yeah. Who is Pierce Morgan? That was it. Pierce Morgan. It's on YouTube, man. Give it a look, and you'll see. Yeah. So it's like under an hour long, and it's so worth the watch because then.
I only watched snippets. Like I watched little clips. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Baby, I watched it all, and my God. Yeah, it's worth it. Because then you see both sides.
Right.
And then you get to make that judgment like, what did happen? We're never going to get the truth, but she certainly helped us believe the TV show a little more.
Which probably didn't do her any favors. But...
Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
No, so I thought it was good. I thought, it obviously not horror related, but I thought it was. So I think it's worth including. So if you haven't seen it, go watch Baby Reindeer. Pretty decent.
I just need
like
a second,
Ken.
guys. Sorry, hold on just 1 second.
Nobody talk, okay? Shh. Yeah, see, if you watch that interview, man, let me know what you think.
No, yeah, I'll probably watch it because I read a bunch of stuff, and I read like an article where she came out and was like, it's clearly based on me, but and like she gave her interpretation, but it was all written. It's not. Excuse me, sorry. It's not the same as being able to see like a live interview with her because she only did. According to the show, anyway, she only did like 18 months, so it wasn't super long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll watch it tonight and take a look.
I'm trying to find the full interview for you. It only seems to be snippets. I mean, the snippets alone are enough. There's hundreds of them.
Ken, how'd you feel about that Edmonton comeback?
I don't know if he's there.
He's gone.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Me too.
Okay.
I was like, did I miss something? I don't want to talk.
Oh. All right, so we were just wrapping up Baby Reindeer, see, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
See, I got to jump off in a minute here, but you got a lot of Wither stuff going. Do you not want to touch on any of that before we close you out?
Yeah, I can.
He doesn't, actually. He says he's too good to talk about Wither on our podcast.
No, my God. All right, just fucking...
I mean, we gave Rob a huge shout out, you know.
All right,
maybe that's. If I do drop out, it's been a good show. Good night, everyone.
You're a quitter.
Good night.
But I'll hang as long as I can here.
Okay.
Have a good night, Ken.
Thanks. I'm gonna hang for a few more, but if you see me disappear, you know why.
All right. See, take off. It's your show.
All right, so
welcome to the C Show. Sorry.
So also as part of the book club, World War Z. So I'm not quite as far ahead as I would like to be at this point. So right now we should be close to like the week 3. So like the final, not final, but like chapter 6 and 7, the home front and around the world. But I just wrapped up Turning the Tide, which is pretty fantastic. It's super frustrating reading this book. I won't lie, because it's so goddamn good. Like it's it's frustratingly good to where it's like, well, you know, we might as well stop trying. But so
like I get that like impulse, right? But the better way to look at that, I think, is you see pinnacles of like where you want to be in, and writing or creating, I think is, you know, and people that do it will tell you it's like anything. Like you don't go from being a couch potato to being a world-renowned weightlifter overnight. It takes time, but anyone who puts enough effort into it can do it, right? You just got to keep doing it. So, like, looking at what is to you as the pinnacle of, like, the A+, the top of the pyramid in that genre, I feel like it's actually worthy to go back and feel that weight of greatness in front of you, right? Because it gives you, like, a target and also inspiration, right?
No, I mean it sure does. But it hits on like things that we could do better next time, which I think is great. It hits on things that we definitely missed out on, which sucks. But rereading it is definitely. I'm really looking forward to doing the book club, like actual meet to kind of discuss it, so we can, steal snippets that everybody says for our own gain later on. But
right.
But I mean,
and like I know these get-togethers aren't easy to organize, especially with like a bigger group when we're talking about the book club. But I also almost feel like it was a wasted opportunity not to do get-togethers at chapter breaks. You know what I mean?
Right,
like even just for whoever could have, because I know there's going to be. I have so many thoughts as I'm rereading, and I know 90% of them are going to get lost. And by the time we're done and we go talk about it, we're all just going to talk about the ending, right? And maybe a couple of things through and through. But I feel like that would have been really fun to do, like after every 2 chapters, to do like a little get together and just chat about those, so nothing was missed, right?
Yeah, and I mean, the channel is open for anybody to throw exactly what you're talking about in there. But yeah, I mean, right. Definitely trying to get people together to have like a conversation like this is a little bit difficult. But
like hurting zombies.
Yeah, no, for real.
Zombies. All we need is some firecrackers.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, books, movies, done. Going into
in the Wither universe.
Yeah, well, fuck. The Wither universe is driving me into the ground. So we are, as of like 15 hours ago, 2:30 yesterday morning, we are 100% across the board as far as things saying they're going to get here in time versus, what we have already. So we're taking roughly 825 items with us. We got 30 copies of the Wither Chronicles Volume 1, 30 copies of the Wither, a zombie novel in its original form, plus its special edition form. We got 25 copies of Blackened. And we're bringing 30 copies of our brand new novel that we just finished pretty recently called The Rot War. And we actually just got our blurb from, so it's an author called, his name is Zach James. So he doesn't write horror books. He writes military style thrillers, action thrillers. His 2 main books that are out right now is called Inception and Wetwork. So he finished his blurb for us, and we were able to get his blurb kind of put on like a big poster. I don't know. You guys have probably seen it, but the listeners haven't seen it. So we got like a big poster that has like the book superimposed on it with the blurb below it and everything. So that's all done. And then I spent Kippy. Thank God for Kippy. Holy shit. He was probably up until 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning his time last week, answering my questions. As I'm trying to, I have one of my monitors is me ordering or like trying to manipulate the files to upload them into this program so we can get them ordered. He's answering questions about like the software that he's using that these people are asking me. But the tabletop game is done. Got a name for it. Democratic vote on the Discord was Wither, a zombie game, which is, kind of a play on the original title.
I like that.
30,
that was
32. Yeah, no, and I think all of you, because, what we wanted to do was have everybody kind of contribute to the name and then try and piece together a name that kind of incorporated everybody, and everybody had some sort of Wither, a zombie survival game or whatever. So I think it worked out really well for everybody, and we went super overboard with it. Like I was saying during one of the breaks, where like the covers are a soft touch laminate, or like 130 weight paper. The internal pages are laminated; they're 100 weight paper, and then the board games, which are fantastic. We got 5 board games. Or 5 maps. So we got the farm, we got an outpost, we got the street, we got a storefront, Farm, Outpost Street, Storefront, and we got a what's the last one? I can't remember. But they're on 12 by 18, double-sided, so you just basically take the map and you flip it over to use, an opposite side, for your game. And they're all laminated, so you'll be able to, like, anybody who's like DMing it or whatever will be able to use a dry erase marker and annotate whether or not barricades have been made or something was blown up or whatever. So,
That's super smart.
No, yeah. So we're, it goes back to that in the Wither Discord. We were talking about zombie games or board games in general, and just like the price that they are. And I was, I went on my own little tangent about how ridiculous it is. And this was probably 2 weeks prior to me having to make our own. And I can appreciate it.
Right.
Because
nothing's cheap, man.
No, dude, it's so expensive.
Yeah, especially small print runs, right? Small print runs of anything is like the more volume you do, the better discount you get from any printer or manufacturer, right? But like, how do you do those volumes at a small startup, right?
No, yeah, absolutely, and it really comes down to seeing how well it does, at this event in June, and then. Well, like, we've been talking about in the past, we'll throw everything digital on the website, witheruniverse.com for, real, like, cents on the dollar, basically, just to try and get it out there. Because we don't want to stop people from playing. We want everybody to play. But, at the end of the day, even PDFs cost money. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So that's ready to go, and I mean, other than that, dude, we're ready to roll. We're super excited for this event. We just got an email last night. I don't know. In the last 24 hours, we got an email from them confirming our spot. So we're
nice.
We're super excited and ready to go. But other than
really
that,
cool, man. Exciting stuff.
Like, every time we do a new episode, it's like you've got 100 new things about the Wither universe. It's awesome, man.
Octopus arms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much longer I can keep it up. But no, we're doing good, and I with you guys, definitely, the Cold Dead Heart server, kind of being our wingman this entire way over the last 2 years and stuff has been a really big help, and I don't think we could be where we are without you guys. So, we're super appreciative, and, we thank everybody for joining us on this ride, and, we'll see you guys at the finish line, whether it's crashing and burning or coming up with something real great. So, but yeah, that's it.
Thanks for making.
You guys have already said the foreground.
Oh, sorry. Jasper, what were you saying?
Hey, and Chronicles. I saw a post of Chronicles Part 2.
I said, see, well, thanks for making me broke.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Oh. How dare you?
Hey, I'm going to let you know, though, I'm broke, too. Like,
we're all in this together.
Man.
Yeah. But
Chronicles Part 2. That's pretty exciting.
So Chronicles Volume 2 is our attempt at an initiative where every single year we collaborate with members of the community, indie authors who maybe aren't out there yet, veterans, or people who are just kind of down on their luck, whatever it is. Our goal is to give people a platform to tell a story. Now, the only real requirement is they kind of tell the story within our universe, and all of the stories, it kind of sounds shitty, but all the stories come in and there's no reimbursement for them. The cover art, which Jasper was so gracious to do last time, the art comes in for free, the editing comes in for free. We publish the book for free, and then 100% of those proceeds go to a different nonprofit that helps support, whether it's anti-trafficking, whether it's battered women, whether it's vets. We're trying to
It's such a cool project, man. I think all of us here have been part of it, and
yeah.
I know where everyone speaks nothing but gratefulness and appreciation for the initiative in the project, and it's very, very cool.
Awesome.
So volume one has been relatively successful. And we're just hoping that every volume that precedes this one becomes even more successful. And,
for sure.
So that's the hope. But, we'll see what kind of support we get on the next one. And we should be posting the come help us do this posts in about 3 weeks, I'd say. A week or two after we get done with this event in June, we'll post that, and then that will publish October 31st, 2024. We're ready to go.
Beautiful. Right on.
Holy moly, but okay. That's it for me. Gigi, what do you got?
I feel like I have such paltry offerings after that feast. So
you had to go after C.
I know. I'm like, I did things and I walked off. So I got to watch the 1994 first Nightwatch in Danish that I hadn't seen before, and I loved it. And then I have been running around like crazy this week, and so I haven't watched Night of the Demons yet, the second one. And I'm so mad at myself because it came out on Friday, and I've been so hyped for it. But I do plan, we have a long weekend coming up, and I plan to catch up on a few items that I've wanted to check out. I did get to, so I'm listening to World War Z on Audible, the full cast version, which is phenomenal. And every time I've like reread or re-listened to that book, I just catch different things, or like different parts of it resonate more with me. And it's fun. I'm kind of with Ken. I wish we would have broken things up, but because there's so much like in different chapters, and I know I've already forgotten like half the stuff that I was like, oh, I should mention this. But
it's
really
the smaller chapters, like the smaller segments, and they're so good. But then you go right from that to another one to a bigger one, and then it's like 2 portions back you totally forget about. Like a lot of it. And again, this book was like a big deal for me when I read it the first time.
Same.
But there are parts in it reading now that I'm like, I totally forgot. Like this, it feels like brand new, right?
Yeah. Other than that, the other thing that I have done is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 came out yesterday, which would have been Tuesday the 21st of May. And it is blowing me away. I did manage to spend about 3 hours playing it. And I don't have enough good things to say. I feel like they really stayed true to the initial feel of the first one, but they made it like 10 times better. And the visual distortions, the audio stuff that's going on with the like hallucinatory voices that are coming around you are still, it gave me goosebumps. And I just feel like it's going to be a great game, so I definitely want to delve more into that.
That's cool. Nice. This would be probably a good time to mention what I forgot to mention back in the recap is I actually started playing the first one.
Oh, good. Okay, how are you liking it?
Yeah, it's visually, it's gorgeous. The story is amazing. The gameplay is a little glitchy. The fighting's fun. It's intuitive. It seems almost like formulaic, like when you're kind of like following a trail and like you get to a certain spot, you're like, okay, I know I'm gonna have to fight 5 to 10 things here, and then you do, right? And then you move on. It's the puzzles I'm getting a little bit annoyed with, but that might just be my headspace. But overall, I like it. Like this could have made an epic show or a movie. The story's fantastic. The visuals are fantastic. The audio is insanely cool. Yeah, so I'm digging it.
If you're playing it on Xbox, which I assume if you go into the main menu, there's a little thing like a little movie that you can watch about the making of it, and it is so worth your time to check it out.
Oh, definitely.
If you get bored.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I might be reaching out for some help at some point too.
So
I'm trying to line up the crows right now. So
can I just say I forgot something that I did mention earlier in the podcast? I will be 1 minute. It's time for Jasper's Tubi movie.
Oh,
I watched Killer Body Count today. Synopsis: mistaken for a sex addict by her devout father, Cammy is sent to an isolated rehab centre, but when a killer begins to hunt the teens, Cammy realises that her survival and independence are intertwined in ways she could never imagine. Now, this movie, I don't know if you remember They Them that came out in 2022, which had Kevin Bacon in it. And it was a group of teenagers at an LGBTQ plus conversion camp endures unsettling psychological techniques while being stalked by a mysterious mass killer. So the story's already been done, but Tubi's doing it again. The only comment I have with Tubi in their movies is I watch them and I've seen this before. They're making okay-ish movies that are B tier, but making their own C tier version of it.
Right.
So, but I will say that this one was better than the last two that I watched. So if you're looking for something cheesy that's got quite a nice twist at the end, this was I'll give this a good 5 out of 10 for Tubi.
It's not bad for a Tubi movie.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a twist that got me. I was like, that's a good twist. I like it. So yeah, I'll give them a good rating for that. And also, before we end, I like to do my usual plug for everybody.
Yes, please.
So if you were interested in what C was talking about for 2 hours, the Wither Network, you can look them up on Twitter at Wither Novels. That's WITHER Novels. You can also find the Wither portal on Cold Dead Heart server. If you want to find that, you can find us on Twitter at Cold Dead Hearts, and we have our Discord link in there. So we're all linked together, easy to find, and we would love for you to join.
Wither has a portal.
Yeah, Wither has a portal.
CDH as well. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're on CDH, you find the Wither portal. There's always links there, jumping over to their movie nights or book clubs and different things. So.
And obviously, a special shout out to our content creator, Rob Garcia. You can find him on TikTok at Graves and Reviews. So please do check him out as well. Shameless plugs are done.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jasper. And I just want to take a second to thank all of our listeners from the bottom of our cold, dead hearts. All right, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.